Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. We have some breaking news here from ABC News. Judge rules Colombia activist Mahmoud Khalil can be deported. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been settled. An immigration judge ruled Friday that Columbia University activist Mahmoud Khalil can be deported on grounds that he threatens foreign policy as alleged by the Trump administration. How is it alleged if a judge ruled on the evidence and information, right? Where's this benefit of the doubt when it comes to Donald Trump, right? The stunning move may have repercussions on hundreds of other international students who have been targeted by the administration. Well, there's a particular reason why, because there's a threat. Because when you make a threat towards a Western nation, and I can't even go into more details without getting a strike here on YouTube as to what these individuals are saying, it makes perfect sense. The Louisiana judge has given Khalil's lawyers a deadline of April 23rd to file applications to relief to stop his deportation. The judge said if they failed to make the deadline, she would file an order of removal to either Syria or Algeria. So, ladies and gentlemen, you get your green card or you come to the United States, you're a student, you're on a visa, student visa, even a work visa, whatever you're on here in the United States, or a recent applicant to or having just recently received your green card, or even potential residents. I haven't seen what it would be in the law for residents, legal residents. My mother is a legal resident. My mother is not a citizen of the United States. She is a legal resident, to see what that is. But when you make threats towards the United States, that is not covered under free speech, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot convey a threat, nor can you call to do calls of action that incite violence. That is not covered in the First Amendment.
Hi, I'm Phil Lipoff here in New York. More now on our breaking news here live on ABC News Live reports. An immigration judge in Louisiana today ruling that detained Columbia University graduate student Mahmoud Khalil can be deported. The Trump administration had argued his presence here in the United States posed an adverse foreign policy consequence. The judge today agreed on those grounds, the administration accusing him of spreading anti-Semitism and Hamas propaganda, which Khalil has adamantly denied. Khalil was a green card holder and a legal permanent U.S. resident. I want to bring in ABC News immigration reporter Armando Garcia, who's live outside of the courthouse where this happened, and attorney Bernardo Villalona from Villanova Law. Armando, I want to begin with you. Tell us what happened in court today.
Look, this is a very stunning move, mostly because Judge Jamie Comans had essentially said and has relied on the Secretary of State Marco Rubio's assertion that Khalil's presence, his actions, his continued presence in the United States could cause risk, could harm foreign policy priorities and their political priorities as well. It's a very stunning move because if you think about all of the other students that have also been targeted by the administration for similar reasons under this same kind of obscure, not well-known section of the Immigration and Nationality Act, that could mean that this could also be applied to them as well. Now, a big caveat here is that even though he has been deemed removable under this ground that DHS was trying to raise, his team still has about 2 weeks to figure out relief. Maybe that's appealing or trying to find seeking asylum or seeking another kind of relief to stop that deportation. So we don't expect an immediate movement on that front.
Bernardo, help us understand this, because there are a lot of people here watching this decision who say, okay, the Trump administration said he was spreading anti-Semitism and Hamas propaganda. There are a lot of people here who would say, hey, that's First Amendment. I'm an American. You can't, throw me out of the country for that. You see, this is the absurdity of the media. And of course, I can't quote what he's been saying or what many of these people have been saying, because it will be a strike on the YouTube channel as well as TikTok and other platforms. And you see how he keeps saying this about First Amendment, anti-Semitism, these sorts of things. See, that's very passive language. That's not what these individuals are saying. They're calling on violence towards the United States. That's me putting it in the most germane way without going directly into the details. You cannot incite violence. That is not covered under the First Amendment.
What makes him different is that he's not an American. He is not a United States citizen, because as you can see, what the judge ruled, this immigration judge ruled, is to have him removed from the country based on him being a threat to foreign policy. The process is different. In fact, the evidentiary hearing is different. The burden is different in the sense that this evidentiary hearing, all they had to prove is that there was reasonable grounds to believe that he is threat or has adverse influence into the policies, the foreign policies of this country. For example, they based this decision based on a 2-page memo from the Secretary of State. Now, Khalil, his family or his attorneys, they presented evidence that was contrary to that. But the attorneys argue that they don't need to move past that 2-page memo. Like, what type of evidence, what type of justice, what type of due process, what type of fundamental fairness actually exists in this type of hearing?
And do you think...
And here's the curious thing, because they keep mentioning due process, right? That people are entitled due process, whether they are an American citizen or not. However, there's another side item to this. When you come into the country illegally, you're in our country illegally, right? So you have broken the law. And if you're standing in front of someone while you're in the United States, having come into the country illegally and having broken the law, your due process is getting removed from the United States. Now, a court date for many of these individuals would be impossible, and the Democrats know this. Because how in the world are you going to give due process to the 20-plus million of these individuals that came into the United States, or those who are seeking asylum? As I understand it, it's like a 6-year wait to go to your court hearing for coming into the United States illegally. And they did these all as misdemeanors. When they came into the United States, you know, they just ask basic, generic, germane questions. And then, of course, they say, you know, well, they either seek asylum, typically is what is their response, and then they're given a court date to appear. Usually 6 years is from what I was understanding them to say. That's a long time to have to wait while you're in the country. So this situation is very poorly outlined by the media. Let's go back and see what he was saying here, or the way he phrased it to her. Because that was just right here. It's just, it's ridiculous. Listen to this.
And you can't, throw me out of the... Help us understand this, because there are a lot of people here watching this decision who say, okay, the Trump administration said he was spreading anti-Semitism and Hamas propaganda.
Right. See, they try to make it seem so germane, right? Well, he was just being anti-Semitic and spreading propaganda. But they don't say what the propaganda is, and I can't say it here. That's what's so extraordinary about it. But when it comes to Donald Trump, they can go back and find cases that are out of the statutes of limitation, retry them as felonies, and then issue a non-penalty sentence. And yet the media doesn't go back and say, because I still have leftist friends of mine, or my classmates and stuff, that still call Donald Trump a convicted felon, not realizing that the sentencing was a non-penalty sentencing. It was contrived. In the United States, a jury has to come to a unanimous decision. It's not based upon individual verdicts. That defeats the entire purpose of a jury. That it defeats the entire purpose of having members of your own, peers, members of your own peers in court with you. The idea is they reach a unanimous decision. The way the media words these things is just absolutely awful. But yeah, there's more to it than just the anti-Semitic and propaganda. Obviously and clearly, there's much more to it. But I welcome your thoughts and opinions down in the public section. Do you think that this was done effectively and justly? I believe that it has, because of course, again, the First Amendment does not cover inciting violence and other sorts of things or calls to actions for violence. It just does. That is not protected by the First Amendment. And the media is playing coy here to suggest that he only did, anti-Semitic or propaganda, but they don't go into the details of what that actually is, the calls to action. So let me know down in the comment section what your guys' thoughts are on it. I want to thank all you guys across BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey, as well as TikTok, for all your guys' continued support. And, of course, everyone here on YouTube for your guys' continued support. Be sure to check out the Friday vlog, which I released earlier today. And appearing there on the screen, that'd be the channel icon. You guys can click on that to subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube, obviously. Click on that to subscribe, as well as to select notifications. That way you know when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see all you guys in the next video.